Today is July 3rd, 2026. It's been about a month and a half since I did a psych video, which was the day before my birthday. Last psych video was just basically about the idea of what if. What if things play out? What if you were able to, live your dreams? Why not you? What makes you different? Why you shouldn't live your life conservatively, especially with your dreams and your career. This psych video, I really want to hammer the idea of how valuable loss is. Not just like trading losses, just losing, failing, and just in general, how loss and failure is one of the most valuable things that can happen to you. I've been trading for about 10 months. A lot of things have changed in my life. Personally, trading-wise, physically, everything mentally. Just everything in my life has changed, and for the better. And one thing that I've realized, and I'm starting to even more realize now that I'm on a funded account, I've passed my first eval since the last psych video, but now that I'm on a funded account and I've taken a loss on a funded account, especially an avoidable loss, I've learned how valuable losses are. Not just trading losses, but just the idea of how losing really not only humbles you, but it forces you to get better. Being uncomfortable is such an unexplored emotion. Like, people focus on wanting to feel good. They want to feel happy. I mean, it's human nature, way back to our ancestors, you're designed to move and get to comfort. Seek heat when cold, seek cold when hot, food when hungry, get water when thirsty. You're seeking comfort, so it's a natural human reaction to life. But obviously, it's a lot different now. It's being comfortable more times than not is bad for you. And losing, really, no matter if you like it or not, or want to be uncomfortable or not, it forces you to get uncomfortable. That's why losing and loss feels bad. Change feels bad. That's why change is so scary. One thing that loss has taught me, especially at a young age, is it's unavoidable. It's firework. It's 3rd of July. Might hear a couple more fireworks. But it forces you to become uncomfortable. It forces you to explore that emotion when you take a loss, when you lose somebody in your life, something in your life, whether it's a job, an opportunity, a relationship, whatever it is. When you lose something, when you change something like that, it forces you to look at and reevaluate yourself and reevaluate where you could have went wrong. And it's truly the only way you're going to grow, and it's the only way you're going to get where you want to get in life. Like I said, I've been trading for about 10 months, and I'm just now getting to a point where, I like to think that I'm profitable and I'm winning more than I'm losing, which I am, but I still make mistakes, and I'm going to make more mistakes. It's guaranteed. But what has shifted is not that I want to make mistakes, of course, but I'm happy when I make them. Like, I took a loss this week. It was an avoidable loss. I shouldn't have taken that loss. It was a stupid loss. It was an error of mine. I made a mistake, and that's why I lost. But since that, and since I've taken some time to sit with it and kind of, think on it and really, sit in that feeling of loss and discomfort, I've realized that, man, it's so beneficial. It's nothing but upside. There's nothing but good that comes from mistakes. Obviously, it's a perspective thing as well. I think a lot of people, especially young people, and just the society today, is when you take a loss, you can't help but blame everything around you. You can't help but blame others and blame, well, it was this, it was that, it wasn't fair, instead of actually truly evaluating it and changing it into a good thing, changing your perspective to, well, at least this didn't happen, or changing it to, man, I'm glad that happened because I'm definitely not going to do that again. Even with my loss, I made a mistake. I messed up. Guess what? I'm not going to make that mistake again. It's just so valuable. Losing is just so valuable. And especially with success and your career, whatever you're pursuing, whether it's trading, whether it's whatever you want to do in your life, when you are getting that success, and you're on top of the world and haven't lost in a minute, that's where you actually start to fall back. Like, you're physically, succeeding, and that's great. That's what you're doing it for, is the goal outcome is to succeed, to win, to make money, to do whatever. But you lose the reality of that, you could lose. And also, there's nothing in life that is valuable that that there's not some sort of concept of losing to it, Like the other day, I was talking to some of my friends who also trade. We were talking about the idea of how like the Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl is only so valuable because you could lose it. It's the biggest game, of course, but if you lose the Super Bowl, like if you couldn't lose the Super Bowl, it wouldn't be valuable. It would just be another game, if that makes sense. Money, for instance, extremely valuable, but why is it valuable? Because you don't always have it, The things that are easily attainable are immediately pushed down on the totem pole of how valuable they actually are. Like even people, like that's why people get bored in relationships, because there's no chase, there's no game, there's no sense of losing that person. There's no value to it. When you don't have to try for something, that's immediately when you start to backslide. And that's why losing is so good, because when you lose, it regenerates that. It refuels that feeling of, man, I got to try now. I actually got to reevaluate and put some effort into this. Losing has shifted my perspective on life, which I already live to a glass half full, good perspective, what if lifestyle. That's just the way I live. It's the way I'm programmed. I think everybody should live that way. But losing fuels that so much, because when you can lose something, it's just as strong of a what if factor, because what if I don't lose? What if I don't lose this? If you knew we couldn't lose, there's no good what if factor. And that's with anything. Aside from losing as well, I also think losing, or the thought of loss or failure, keeps people complacent, because I'm not losing, or there's no threat to losing if I'm staying where I'm at. And if I try to make a bigger move, if I try to get more, I could potentially lose what I have right now. Even though I'm unsatisfied, even though I'm whatever the case is, whether it's relationship, whether it's a career, whether it's whatever, if you are scared to lose, you're always going to be complacent. You're not going to move towards what you actually want in life. So if you don't embrace the idea of loss, if you don't just face it with full on open arms that you're going to lose, or that you could lose, you're not going to be able to win. You'll never be able to win. Another side thing that I want to bring up too, I heard this quote the other day. It basically goes, you either do what you want or you do what's required. Basically that just means you can either sit there and be comfortable and do what you want to do and not get where you want, or you can do what's required and get what you want. My cat's trying to get out the fucking apartment. One of the reasons I love trading so much is it literally forces you to become the best version of yourself. Like, the way you are off the charts directly reflects how you are on the charts. But I also think it's just the same thing as how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I think that if you go into smaller areas of your life and you view it as open arms, what if, half glass full, it's okay to lose, it's okay to failure, No only means next opportunity. If you go into life with that perspective, you can't go backwards, at least mentally. Because even if you take a loss, even if you lose something that you thought was going to work out and you thought it was a good choice to do, or whatever the case may be, and you actually tried your best, you can't mentally fail. You might have physically failed. You might have lost some money, you might have lost a relationship, you might have lost whatever. But did you truly lose, though? Because you learned something from it. The only time that a loss is actually considered a loss that actually negatively impacts you is if you treat it as such. If you take an L, if you go backwards, if you lose some money, if you lose a relationship, and you treat it like you lost something, and you have that perspective that you lost, then you lost. But if you treat it as a lesson, you treat it as, well, at least this didn't happen, and you look at it in a good perspective, then it's nothing but a lesson. It's nothing but a good thing. Especially when you try your best. It's damn near impossible to fail at something if you try your best. And even if you do fail at said thing, there's no question to it. You're not going to question to yourself, a couple years down the road, or when you're going to bed at night, when you look yourself in the mirror, you're not going to question, what if I would have done better? What if I would have done that? What if I would have tried my best? What if I actually would have tried? Not give it 70%, 80%, 100% effort. Because it's not really a loss if you tried your best. Not too crazy of a video. Just wanted to address how valuable loss is and how I've been treating loss in my life. I don't even want to say I've had a lot of loss in my life. I've just had a lot of changes, removed a lot of things from my life, especially just mentally, the way I view things. And it's so much more peaceful. When you approach loss and losing and change with open arms and you treat it like a lesson, you can't lose. And you won't lose. You will only win, or you will only get better. So that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the change of scenery. It's a rainy 3rd of July. It's supposed to rain tomorrow as well. So it's just going to be a rainy weekend. But hey, it's all good. I actually love it. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy this little psych video. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Let me know if you want me to post more psych videos. I like doing them. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace.